Welcome to the podcast. Today we have an extra special guest. I've got Abby. Maybe you guys know her as Soft Negotiation. She is a dating content creator. Abby, tell us a little bit about how you got into this whole dating space. I've been absolutely loving taking in all your content lately.
Thank you very much. Yes, very happy to be here. About 2 years ago, I started my channel, Negotiation, to talk about dating content. The main reason is because I was looking for something to talk about online, I guess, to build a personal brand. But then at the same time, people in real life, my friends, my families, always come to me for dating advice because I never really have any issue with men per se, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, tell us about because I see so many problems online. Everyone's saying, men are trash or oh, men are difficult. But you always seem to have quite a different perspective. Talk to me about how you don't have problems with men.
I guess naturally I'm more like a logical and pragmatic person. That's why perhaps I speak the male language slightly better than most women. And also, my background was in psychology. I have a bachelor and master's degree in psychology. And throughout years of studies, I also major in neuroscience. So I get to learn a lot about, from a scientific perspective, how hormones, how neurotransmitters work in your brain and how does that affect human behavior as well.
Well, tell us a little bit about like what do you see out in the market? Like obviously you seem to understand men really well. What do you feel like a lot of women are kind of getting wrong about how guys think and leading to relationship problems?
Yeah, I think it goes back to perhaps our parents' generation, since the industrialization. When the birth control pill was invented, women were pushed to workforce, which is great because now women can make money as well. We have our autonomy. But the downside is that a lot of women are very hardened and we are pushed in our masculine energy. And that is against our biology, our nature. And I see a huge gap on the dating market right now is that a lot of guys who are financially stable, they're nice, but they couldn't find a partner because most women are just too masculine, and that is not attractive for a guy who's also in masculine and providing energy, because then you just butt head with each other.
Yeah, and because I sometimes feel like the masculine versus feminine energy is kind of ethereal, people kind of have a difficult time defining it. Would you say like what would you say is masculine energy versus feminine energy?
Masculine energy is giving. Like, for example, a man who is in his healthy masculine, he wants to help, he wants to serve, he wants to lead, and it gives your life a structure. So it works very well at work because at work you have to be very organized, have a very good structure to manage everything, to get things done. And the feminine energy is inspiring. We like nice things. Women who are in their true feminine, we are soft and we are the receiving energy. That's why the polarity would work in a relationship, when the guy is in his true masculine and when a woman is in her true feminine.
Yeah, I've also heard feminine be described kind of as creative, intuitive, things of that nature. So talk to us a little bit about like I think most of us, and potentially you came from this background as well. Like I was in banking and big tech. So you'd see a lot of women that were really hard charging, really like advancing their career, but they all seem to have really big issues with dating. So talk to us a little bit about like how women can kind of reclaim some of their feminine energy, probably while still being in the boardroom. Or maybe you kind of say they shouldn't do that at all.
Yeah, definitely. I think it takes quite a high level of emotional intelligence being able to be in your masculine energy at work and still get things done. And when you are in a romantic situation, learn to pull back a little bit and make that switch. It could be done, but it could take a lot of work and learn how to do that transition. For example, most of my friends are in banking, they are in law, and those are the same kind of women that they take very good care of themselves. They look really great, very successful in their career. But when it comes to dating, they often attract the kind of men that just want to go with the flow, couldn't plan, want the woman to initiate everything. I've also heard crazy stories that like my friend would go on a date with a guy, and the guy would ask her to pick up the bill and say, "I will Venmo you afterwards." And that's just not the way how things should go. In terms of how women can start, I guess, pulling back a little bit when they are in their romantic relationship, one of the very main thing I think we have to understand that the feminine nature is caring and nurturing. That's why a lot of women, when they start liking a guy, they start to push forward. They start chasing, planning, initiating everything. And this kind of behavior is going to be very appealing for a guy who is looking for a mother, but is going to put off a lot of guys who is trying to pursue you. So I guess my first tip is start doing less in your personal life. You have to create space for a guy to step in and start doing things for you.
Yeah, I tend to notice this a lot is, and I don't know what specifically it is, so maybe you can give our listeners insight here, is a lot of women, they will end up chasing the guy. Like there will be a pretty quick reverse of roles. So talk to us a little bit about how you kind of go through the courting process. If I'm not mistaken, you're a big fan of dating apps, but I could be wrong there.
I am a big fan of dating apps. Yes, correct. Because, well, first of all, I know that most women don't have good experiences when it comes to online dating. I actually just made a video about this. Online dating, it's online marketing. So, first, you have to market yourself well in order to attract your ideal clientele. Like, that is masculine men who want to protect and provide, not guys just want to, take you to the United States of nowhere. So a lot of women, when they look at their Hinge profile, for example, they treat that as their LinkedIn profile or their CV, and they list out like their career achievements, their multiple degrees, their strong asset. Having these things are great. However, having these things are irrelevant in the context of dating a guy who is successful. Because I say this all the time. Men who are successful, they don't care about your job, they don't care about your income, your education, simply because they don't need your income to pay half of their mortgage and rent. On the other hand, men who are looking for, I guess, a sponsor or looking for help with his rent and bills are looking for a woman with very strong income and asset. So I think growing up, very luckily, I have very good role model at home. My parents are still married; they're in very good terms, and my dad was a provider. And I think, not I think, I've seen most women they grew up in a household where their mom was managing everything. The mom could be a homemaker, but the dad just go to work and come home and do nothing. Or that the mom is doing everything, making money, doing the housework, and the dad was either very absent or just didn't really care about, what's going on with the kids. So not having a strong, healthy relationship role model is one of the biggest, I guess, factor to promote these kind of behavior these days, because you don't know what you don't know. When you haven't seen what's the right way to have a healthy relationship, you just kind of model what you've seen at home, that is mom doing everything and chasing.
Yeah, I want to talk double click into this idea of like your dating app shouldn't be your CV, which I definitely agree with. But isn't there also an aspect of being like, hey, this guy works at BlackRock. I want to show that I work at Sotheby's so that there's almost like a class level match. Like, yeah, the guys may not care that much about the income, but don't they want to see that they're in the same class?
Well, I have asked a lot of my very successful friends about the same question. Like, do you care about a girl's education? Does she have to work a very good job? All of them, very aligned, told me that these are good things to have, but not necessary. The kind of value that they prioritize are a woman being soft, being feminine,
Mm.
and being fun to be around. And a lot of them, they use the same phrase. They said that these days women are very boss babe or just very hyper masculine, and sometimes it's really difficult to get on with someone like that because they are so stressed at work already. When they come home or when they go for dinner, they want to have a good time, they want to relax. In fact, one of my friends who just sold his startup company to one of the biggest firm, well, in the tech area, and he's like retired in his mid 20s. He dated a waitress recently, didn't really care about her education, her background. And also, just I guess say this in passing, I think dating apps should be used as like an introduction app. It is a
Mhm.
way for you to expand your network to meet other people from different areas outside of your circle. It's really about how you make an impression on a first date that shows a guy whether you are on the same intellectual bandwidth or whether you can fit into his circle.
Yeah, and I've seen a few problems there is that the people will start chatting for forever and never actually get to the date part. I'm sure you have some kind of strategy that you employ around this. So, like, let's say, you and I match, like, how long do I have to make a date? Just so we have some, practical tips for these ladies as they navigate the online environment.
Absolutely. So when I was dating, this is just what I set for myself. I have a 48-hour rule. If a guy start chatting to me and within 48 hours, he doesn't ask me out, I'm gone. The reason why you have to be very strict with this is, well, for some of you, it could be 72, it could be like a week, it's totally up to you. But I think 48 works really well for me. It's because there are two things going to happen when you stop texting back. Number one, he will stop texting back as well. That's great because he wasn't that interested in asking you out in the first place, anyways. And the second thing that might happen is he would double text if he's still interested. And when he texts you again, very likely he would offer something more substantial. Hey, let's try to go out and meet up in real life instead of just chatting nonstop on the app. And I'll say this as well. I don't know if you agree, a man who's got a career going on, who's got a business to run. These guys are goal getters. When they see something that they like, they go after it. They don't spend, they don't waste time chatting for weeks and months. They're not looking for a pen pal. They're looking for real connection. So there's no point wasting time chatting forever on the apps.
Yeah, in my mind, I see it as two different scenarios. One, you have the forever player that has so many women that it's actually difficult for him to schedule you in, and that's why he's not scheduling you. Or it's just not a hard driving guy. Like guys that run their own business, they're familiar with speed to lead. It's like, hey, if you don't chat this person immediately and get somebody on the books, like you're gonna lose out on that. So either way, you don't really want them if they're not getting you out on a date quickly. Now, do you mostly do just the apps, or are you an in-person person? Because we're a big fans of like charity galas and things of that nature. Or are you largely like a hey, maximize your time, do online?
I think people should do both if they're looking for, I guess, a relationship or real connection. I see dating app as like a background software that's going in
Mm.
the background. I do think that most of the time we should focus on what's in front of us in real life. And one of the very good way to meet high quality men, this is my personal experience as well, is actually through other older, wealthy, married women, because when an older lady likes you, she's going to go home and do her pictures. She might have single son, single grandson, single nephews, or her wealthy husband could have single employees like CEOs or managers that they can introduce you to. And if she likes you, she will be your, I guess, your doorway to get into that kind of area of society. So quite a few ways that I recommend my clients to do is, you can go volunteering. I volunteer myself every quarter as well. Think of it this way, like, who goes volunteering? It's either people who are retired, they had a successful career, now they have time and money to give, or just wealthy ladies who don't have to work, so they're at charity events. And the other thing is, in the UK, bridge is a very popular game for upper middle class older lady. It's a card game that require brain power and practice to play. So it's quite nice to go to a bridge club and learn how to play the game and be friend with those ladies. And then in Asia and in America, mahjong is a very popular game, again, for older, wealthy ladies. And apart from that, going to churches or where you practice your religion or political clubs are all very good ways to meet older, wealthy ladies.
Yeah, the way I describe it for a lot of people is, and one, I love that idea of be default social, meet older wealthy ladies because they know everyone. They literally are like matriarchs of their environment. The other thing I really recommend, and I know this sounds icky to say, but not all charities, not all events are created equal. So you want to find the places where actually affluent people spend their time. I wonder if that's something you focus on is like, hey, it's nice to meet a guy, but most people don't want to date a plumber.
Absolutely. It's very smart to be strategic. So here's my advice. Everyone care about something socially, about certain social cause. It could be animals, it could be kids, it could be cancer or whatever. Um, Go for where your passion is just to take the first step. And as you get more comfortable, I think to be strategic, for example, I volunteer at a place where we help underprivileged kids to do mock interviews to interview for jobs. So as expected, people that go there are retired law firm partners or people who work in human resources or people who work in the council at quite a high up level, interviewers. So you're right about being strategic about it. But I think sometimes you never really know who you're going to meet. Sometimes you meet one person, and then through that one person, that could be a key to also, other different network. So the first step is to step out of your house and go out there and start doing something first.
Yeah, I wrote about that in my newsletter this morning. It's like it's tough to draw the dots looking back what Steve Jobs said. It's like I didn't know salsa dancing would take me to Colombia where I'd meet my ex, and now I do content. So you never know where things are going to lead you. So we talked a little bit about how to meet people and where to meet them. Let's talk a little bit about how you can actually screen out guys that aren't the right fit. Because I feel like, a lot of women, they don't really have that much of a problem getting on dates. It's actually finding out who's commitment oriented or who's serious actually about them.
Mhm. One very simple differentiation, I guess. During early stage of dating, if at any point of contact, if the guy makes you feel this word confused, he's probably not that into you. When I say confused, I mean if he makes you question his intention, or he asks you out on a date, but he never followed up about the time and location, and you kind of have to like double check with him. Whenever he makes you feel like you're not so sure where you stand with him, he is simply not that into you. And one of the very good indicator to see if a guy is, I guess, to see a guy whether he has genuine intention for you is whether he asks you out on dates that he planned and pay for consistently or regularly. That's one of the major, I guess, yeah, thing people should be looking at instead of like, oh, how often he's texting me or like what kind of job he's working at. These are things that are not as important during the early stage.
So whether he's inviting you on dates and whether he's paying for those dates. Now, I got maybe very angry at the Europeans were very angry at me the other day because I came out and said, I don't think you should go on walking dates or coffee dates, but maybe you have a different perspective on that than I do. But apparently the Europeans, they love a walking date.
You are right, especially in like Germany or like Scandinavian countries. I have this joke, but I'm also not joking. I'm totally agree with you. Don't go on $5 coffee dates or a walk in the park like you're his dog. This is a
Yeah.
joke, but it's also not a joke
Leash and all.
because exactly, like, and COVID is over. Everything is open now. I think the whole walking day thing started out from COVID because restaurants are shut and people have to be outside and have a distance. And here's the thing. Okay, basic human psychology 101, putting my degrees to use.
Hmm.
Men, I mean, people in general, especially men, only value things that they have to work hard for. When it comes to, I guess, the context of dating, a $5 coffee date is super low effort. And if a guy asks you out for a coffee or a walk, he is essentially inviting you to audition and to check your vibe to see if he's willing to take you out on, I don't know, like a 50, $100 meal. And I'll say this, right? When a girl go out on a date, she gotta shower, do her hair, do her makeup. It's gonna take at least an hour. But a guy can just shower and put on a shirt and go out. The level of effort is just not the same when it comes to going on a date. And here's the thing as well, male psychology. Perhaps you will agree. Men are competitive in nature. So whether a man saw your profile online or that he met you in real life, if he thought that you're so attractive or that he think that you're the prize, he knows that there are other men out there competing for your attention. Therefore, to put his best foot forward, he would either ask you out for a nice meal or plan a very fun activity that's thoughtful and that's convenient for you to get your attention because he knows that you are a woman in high demand. And if he doesn't try to impress you, other men will, and he would lose his chance.
Yeah, and I'll also say amongst like I don't know very high level guys, there's a philosophy that there are really no single women, and that you're always competing against some other guy if she even has some kind of social media. So if a guy's going to invite you on a coffee date or a even just like a minor drinks date, he's like, how little can I spend to get in this girl's favor?
Exactly. You said it from a guy's perspective. I also want to add one more point. A lot of girls always, I guess, complain or like ask me, but Abby, I like to go on coffee dates. Also, I don't want to waste an hour at a dinner with someone that I don't get on. Here's the thing. I think dating should be double standard because men and women are different. As a woman, you can say that you want to go for a coffee instead if that's what you feel more comfortable with. But from the guy's perspective, he cannot offer you a coffee date. A guy must offer you something that's substantial. But then you do what feels the best for you. If you don't feel comfortable, you can say, well, you know what? I really appreciate your offer, but how about we go for drinks or go for coffee? You can do what's best for you, but it couldn't come from him.
Yeah. Also, I want to draw like, everything's a spectrum, right? You could get like, so you could go on a coffee tour or something like that. That's a totally different thing. I'm talking about getting like a crappy $5 Starbucks or going to like some corner place. Like, of course, and this is why I was always mad at these Europeans. I'm like, well, yeah, you could do a walking day, but like take them around art galleries or do something. Like it just shows the if a guy's not willing to plan anything, they plan giant fantasy football leagues. They track all their sports things. They can plan. This idea that men can't plan is absolutely ludicrous. I don't know where it came from, but it's
Thank you.
ridiculous.
Thank you for confirming that. It's very assuring hearing from a man. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I said they plan things all the time. They plan things all the time. It's okay. So another thing, and I'd love to get your perspective on this because every time I post a video, I always hear, "Oh, but what if he's avoidant?" Do you get this like avoidant? they're trying to say like, oh, this guy doesn't like me. He's avoidant.
Yes, I do a Monday Q&A on my Instagram story every week, and I actually got the same question yesterday. Oh, a girl asked me, "Do you recommend avoiding dating avoidant guys?" So I guess two ways to look at it. Number one, know yourself. If you know that you're someone that's very anxious, 100% avoid avoidant people because the more you cling onto him, the more you lean in, the more he's going to run away. It's destined to be a disaster. And the second thing is, if you know yourself, you know that you're quite securely attached, you're a very confident person. And when someone tell you that they need space, you're not going to take it personally, then perhaps from a psychological perspective, that could work because people who are securely attached have the ability to absorb insecure attachment. But I guess the final thing is, as I said, men are go-getters. It's in their DNA to pursue and to hunt since the caveman era. That's what testosterone does to one's body and brain. So if a guy truly likes you, he's not going to be shy. He's not going to not text you back for days. He's not going to be avoidant. So if he's not getting in touch with you, he's not asking you out on dates, it's simply because he is not that interested in dating you. And knowing this, move on. Stop dwelling on it. The reason why someone's avoidant, it's irrelevant. It is also not your job to fix someone. It's his job to fix himself. Lots of women get into a romantic relationship and they start acting like the guy's mother. He is not your son. The only person you have to mother is your own son, not some other, grown man. So
Yeah. Another thing I'll even add on to this is a common advice is, oh, just mirror the guy's energy. Just pull back when he pulls back. But if the guy actually chases you right after pulling back, like he's still gonna pull back eventually. It's not like he just realized you were so great. To me, it's dating discourse is quite funny in that respect. It's like just people triggering one another's attachment styles.
that is so true. Like attachment style is such like a hot topic, very trendy these days. And I think people sometimes over analyze themselves. Like not everyone's like insecure or avoidant. And always try to be your true self from the very get-go because if you start a relationship trying to mirror the other person's energy, not being your true self, how you start something is how you finish something. Then the whole dynamic and the whole relationship would not be authentic because you weren't being authentic since day one.
I actually want to double on this authenticity point because I may disagree slightly. I think people should be. So we're both into marketing, right? Authenticity, like the same handbag that's made in the same factory, can have wildly different price tags just based on the marketing. So like they're like, Abby, I hear you. I want to be authentic, but I also have to put my best foot forward. So like talk to them a little bit about this. Like I would almost call it a spectrum of authenticity versus like, yeah, you kind of do want to show off a little bit.
Absolutely. So When it comes to dating, every single time when you go on a date with someone, you show them, let's say, 5 to 10% of who you actually are. So in psychology, psychologists would say for someone to become a good friend, you have to spend 50 hours, 50 with them. For someone to become a close friend or like a close partner, at least 200 hours. So when you put that in perspective, every single time when you see someone, you see maybe 3 to 5% of them. I'm a big fan of putting your best foot forward. And here's my advice all the time. You don't lie. You don't, I guess, don't be inauthentic, but you tell the best version of the truth. Because when it comes to dating, timing is everything. The same piece of information, if you show someone that on date one, it could really break your relationship. But if you show the same piece of information on day 300, he could be totally fine because by then he have more information to gauge who you actually are as a person. I'll use myself as an example. I get hangry sometimes. I can get really hangry. So if I was hangry on the first day, then the guy would thought that I'm very rude to the servers. But if I'm always nice and fun to be around, but occasionally, maybe on day 20, I got a bit hangry because I was really angry and the food was just really slow. Then by then it's okay to act hangry because he's got enough information to see who I am in general. And that might just be one time that I slipped.
Yeah, I think it's such good advice, as well as like a few things I would note is like you want to always perceive, like you always want to put yourself as very elegant, right? You don't want to be. Some people are like, oh, I just need to become hotter. I'm like, nah, not necessarily. You want to have him perceive you like not cursing, not like being too promiscuous. Like, talk to us a little bit about like how to actually position yourself as a high value woman, because I think we're pretty aligned on that.
Great. My number one advice is learn how to, I'm going to be direct here,
Yeah.
learn how to shut up. A lot of women, they complain a lot, they overshare before it's appropriate. My mother taught me this, and I think I take her advice till today very close to my heart. A lady never complains, never explains. And a lot of times girls make this mistake. They thought that they have boundaries when they were being entitled. So the difference between having boundaries and being entitled is that boundaries are rules that you set for yourself, but entitlement are rules that you expect from others, expect how other people treat you. A high value woman have her own boundaries. So for example, using the dating app example, I set a rule for myself: after 48 hours, I'm going to stop replying. I don't go out there and broadcast and tell guys that, yo, you have to ask me out within 48 hours or else I'm not going to waste my time with you. I never say that out loud, but I keep that very close to my heart because my boundaries are for me and it's very private. And women tend to, yeah, speak a bit too much before it's appropriate. And a classy, elegant lady, I guess, keep her cards very close to her heart.
Yeah, and for people listening, there's an idea in sales is the person that's talking is the person giving away all of the information. So just from like a literal poker example, you would prefer to listen. Now, we do have this other problem that I get a lot where they're saying, "Well, he didn't ask me any questions." Would you just weed that guy out immediately? Like, yes, it's good to listen, but somebody that doesn't ask you any questions, surely they're not a good match.
If a guy didn't ask you one single question throughout the whole date, I think it's quite weird.
Weird,
Sorry, you're
right?
gonna,
No,
yeah.
I almost can't believe that that happens, but maybe it does. Like, not even one question? I assume
I'm
it's
with you.
hyperbole.
Yeah, because people, my audience also asked me very similar question. Like the guy didn't really ask me a single question. And in my experience and from my perspective, I thought, is that even possible to sit
Yeah.
through half an hour without going back and forth? Because a date is like playing tennis. I hit the ball to you, you hit it back, or else the ball's not going to come back, right? So I would say, based on my understanding, if a guy couldn't ask you a single question, very likely, I'm not saying it's 100%, very likely he could be a bit neurodivergent because people who are neurodivergent, like I'm talking about ADHD, autism, they are a bit slower to pick up social cues. And yeah, they just don't have the same kind of social ability compared to people who are neurotypical. not in a way that they are less intelligent. They're often very intelligent in other ways, IT, mathematics, robotic. But when it comes to like social situation, they could be a bit slower. So give them this piece of information. It's up to you to decide if you want to go on a second date with him. And I always say this, like if a guy is nice, he's polite, he can have like a normal conversation and he makes you laugh, give him 2 or 3 times, even though you feel a little bit like not so sure on the very first get-go, because sometimes people could be a bit nervous on the first date and they might not be able to put their best foot forward. And as long as he's nice, he's got a good job, give him a second chance. A lot of times people get more relaxed when they get warmed up a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that because I'll have women even tell me they're not attracted to any of the guys that they have even options for. I say like at that point you got to focus on yourself. But I'm curious from like your perspective, are you seeing this as well? Is that like women are kind of reporting that like all the guys that want them are not attractive and the guys that want them are like kind of F boys?
Very, very good question. I also get asked this a lot. Okay, if you're a woman listening to this, you feel like the kind of guys that you like kind of just don't like you back, or they're just playing with you, but the kind of guys that likes you, you don't find them attractive. I suspect very likely you might have overvalued yourself on the dating marketplace. I actually wrote about this on my Substack quite a few weeks ago, and that post just went viral because, okay, here's the thing. A lot of girls, they would have situationship or casual encounters, let's say with a guy that's very handsome. Okay, I'm going to put that in perspective in my numbers. Like, because most men would have sex with most women, that's just what men
Hmm.
are, right? I'm not going
Yeah.
to argue about that. That's biology. So it's very likely that a 10 out of 10 guy would sleep with a 7 out of 10 girl. Or he
Yeah.
might even go for a 5 out of 10 when he's going through a rough patch or he's feeling a bit lonely at a certain point in his time. That's just how it works, right? So then a 7 out of 10 girl would think that she can also get commitment from a 10 out of 10 just because he slept with him or she was in a situationship, with him before. But this is why I said this is the situation where the woman has overvalued herself, because a 10 out of 10 guy would sleep with a 7 out of 10 girl, but he would never commit to her. So
Hmm.
my advice is, a very accurate indicator of a woman's market value is the quality of man she's obtained commitment from successfully in the past. When I say commitment, I mean he told everyone that you're his girlfriend, or he's engaged to you, or he's married to you. That's what I meant by commitment. Not friends with benefit, not situationship, not like on and off relationship. On the other hand, a man's market value is defined by the quality of women that he got in bed with. If a guy can consistently get with very beautiful women, he is considered as in high demand and of high value. But it's different from women. So girls, if you feel like you always attract guys that you don't like and guys that you like don't like you back, think about the quality of guys that you had commitment from in the past, not the guys that you slept with or you are in a situationship with. I hope that helps. And I think one solution is, if you realize that, oh my God, that's me, I overvalued myself. My advice is always this. I don't know if you agree, Jax. Get hotter,
Yeah.
become more attractive. Then you can raise your bar. It's as simple as that.
So I agree. Get hotter is definitely a solution because you know it really is the entryway into a guy's heart. However, I always think like your energy has to be on point because there it's like a spectrum, right? You could be so beautiful but have nothing going on. This is why I feel like it's always a balance. Like yes, become hotter, get your skincare on point, but also become sophisticated. Go to the art organization. Learn because you have to really smart guys, even if they don't want their woman to be working, they want her to be well read. They want her to be cultured. They want to show them off because a very affluent guy tends to have affluent friends that went to affluent schools and they don't want to show off their wife that doesn't seem to know anything.
Absolutely, totally agree. And just to follow up on that as well, in today's day and age, just because I guess technology has expanded our optionality, so meaning that anyone can date anyone around the whole planet.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Okay, for girls who want to date well and date the top 10, 15% of men, those men have endless optionalities. There are hot Latinas in Colombia, message them on dating apps. There are beautiful girls from the Philippines, beautiful girl from New York. So those guys have endless optionalities. And in today's day and age, I'm sorry to say this, but it is the truth. Being hot is not enough. Being cute is not enough. Being a good cook is far from enough. It makes you a helper, a maid. So I have this concept that I teach my girls. It's if you want commitment and sexual exclusivity from, I guess, high value men, you must have a unique pairing, meaning that you have a few distinct qualities that's quite rare to find in one single woman. For example, you could be super hot, but you're also very well read. And you also bake some very mean cookies and cheesecakes. That's how you get a man's heart. And when a man meets someone like this, they'd be like, wow, okay, she's hot, she's cute, she's fun, she also cook quite well. It's incredibly difficult to find all these qualities in one woman. So she has a unique pairing. I better lock her down then, because if I don't, the likelihood of me finding someone at this quality is extremely slim moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, that is a very. I like this idea of the unique pairing. I might take it. I think I remember reading something about it from Hussey. He's one of the trailblazers in this space. So talk to us a little bit about. So we've talked about women becoming sophisticated, becoming beautiful, kind of getting more access. I would say, how do they know whether this guy is really an F boy? Because I feel like that's one of the biggest things. Because women can get access to these guys. Is it just, oh, I need to get commitment? Because a lot of these women, I don't know how well they are at ascending the guy into being a committed relationship.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't word that so well. Okay, so a lot of women struggle where they'll have these situationship guys. They'll have these guys where they're like, well, I'm not actually sure if he likes me. And you said, hey, look at your past relationships because you might be overvaluing yourself. How do they actually get a guy from talking to them, going on dates, to the commitment level where they're actually boyfriend, girlfriend, getting introduced to people?
Right. Going back to what you mentioned before, very largely it based on your aura and your energy. So if a guy asks you out on, let's say, 2 to 3 dates, you can be quite sure that he is physically attracted to you, or else he won't keep asking you out. So that means that you've gone through the first bar, which is a very low level, physical attraction. When he's physically attracted to you, I want women to be aware of this. Do not lose yourself, especially when you're dealing with guys that are wealthy, successful, because those men, they are so used to people bending over backwards for them. You can't become one of them, or else you become one of his employees or slave. So I'll give you a personal example just to make my point more clear. So a few years ago, I was dating this guy who's very successful, who's a multimillionaire. And one time he called me up and he wanted to take me out for dinner on a Wednesday evening to one of his private members club. So at that time, I was actually on the way to the gym to do my aerial yoga class. So I told him that, oh, I'm actually not free today. Can we, do it some other time? So I rejected him for a very nice dinner because I was going to the gym. And then the next day I saw him, he was like, what did you do last night? Did you go on a date without me? He was like joking cheekily. So I said, oh no, I had my aerial yoga every Wednesday evening. And this guy was so shocked that I chose the gym instead of the private members club, for him. So then the next time he asked me out on Thursday because he knew that Wednesday doesn't work for me. Like, this is how, I guess, how firm and how strict you are with your routine, with your boundaries that you set for yourself. If I'm going to the gym on Wednesday evening, I am going. I don't care if he's flying a helicopter or doing whatever grand gesture. I am not bending. I'm not adjusting my routine for him. And this is a must, and this is a non-negotiable, especially when dealing with men who are just used to people doing things for them. So I would say don't lose yourself, especially during early stage of dating when you feel like I really like this guy, and do whatever is most convenient for you and your schedule, and let him work around your schedule. Because again, how you start a relationship is how you finish a relationship. If you go into a dynamic doing things for him and going out of your way to help him make his life easier, that would be the way how things go forever. And you don't want to get into a situation like that. It's miserable.
Yeah, to follow up on there, there's a famous quote: "If you treat him like a celebrity, he'll treat you like a fan." And if anyone's had any form of clout before, you know it is very uncomfortable sometimes meeting fans. All my fans, I love you, but sometimes it's a little over the top. So I know I could talk to you all afternoon, but I know you probably have to run. So tell us a little bit about your programs, your products, and see if there's anyone in the audience that would like to partake in some of those.
Sure. So recently, I started writing articles on Substack, and my handle across all social media platforms are at Soft Negotiation. So on Substack, I write a lot more about my personal opinion and advice on sex and intimacy and how to keep a passion alive in long-term relationship. And these are more spicy topics that I can't share in public on social media. Recently, I also share some very exclusive advice on marriage and monogamy and polygamy relationship structure. So if you're into those kind of topic, look into that on Substack. And otherwise, I also have a private dating program called a Dating Gambit, which is a formal course for, I guess, dating education that I wish we had in school because we were never taught communication skills, feminine energy, how to understand male psychology back in school. And I feel like a lot of women with the right knowledge would be able to actually get their dating life back on track because as cliche as it is, knowledge gives you power. And dating, like everything in life, it is a game, it's a poker game, and it has its own set of rules. So you must learn the right set of rules to put your best foot forward. And lastly, I am actually doing a free class somewhere near Black Friday. I believe it's on the 21st of November. It's completely free. You can sign up on my email or on my Instagram. I'll post a link there later. I will be teaching 10 very essential rules of dating that I think every single woman should learn. So you can also come on there.
Absolutely. Well, I'll put her handle down there. So connect with her on Instagram, connect with her on Substack, and looking forward to having her on again in the future. All right. We'll talk to you all
Thank you
soon.
very much.